Well, good morning, everybody. Can you guys hear me fine? I will talk a little bit louder. Thumbs up. Good deal. Welcome to the District Administration Center. This is our monthly Coffee with the Community series. My name is Dallas Ackerman. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing with Liberty Public Schools. We appreciate you coming and joining us here this morning in person. This is our final Coffee with the Community for the first semester. Quickly moving to the holiday season, we want to wish everyone a happy holiday season as we just have a few days left here in our first semester. Speaking of that, we were just finalizing our Coffee with the Community schedule for the remainder of the year, and we have that locked in now. Some invites have been sent out. We'll hit the road. We'll be in the community in January. We will be at the Liberty Hy-Vee Club Room. That is where we host our Hy-Vee character traits, if you're familiar with that space. We will be there on Thursday, January 11th, 10 a.m. Appreciate Liberty Hy-Vee for hosting us. And we will be joined by Kendra Calloway. She's going to provide us a great update on the Liberty Alliance for Youth and all the great work they've been doing. So we will come back from break and jump right back into things. Before I turn it over to Dr. Westfall this morning, just wanted to give everyone also a reminder that all of these coffees are recorded and aired on our district's YouTube page. Not to put any pressure on you, Dr. Westfall, but we will make these available for anyone not able to attend. So for those in attendance, if you have lunch later today and somebody wishes they would have been able to see this presentation, we'll make it available for you really soon, probably even later today. That will be available. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jeanette Westfall, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Development. She's out of our Academic Services Department. She's going to give us a update on our district student performance. Dr. Tucker, our superintendent, he is also with us. He will come up at the end and answer any questions you may have, maybe elaborate on the topic of our student performance. Just so you know, we have a lot of information that's been out in recent weeks available on our website regarding the information we received from DESE. So with that, though, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jeanette Westfall. Good morning. I believe you are on.
I am. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be invited on behalf of Academic Services to talk with you today on the last Coffee of the Community of 2017. And we like to end because this is a month of passion, and teaching and learning is our passion. And so this is a great theme to end the Coffee of the Community with. The one thing we want you to know about us is in Academic Services, we're all about teaching and learning. And so today's session is not going to disappoint. We're going to do a little teaching, and hopefully you all will have an opportunity to learn some things about how we reach academic achievement with our students. So today's not going to be about numbers. If you were coming thinking that that was the key, that was the board meeting last month. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get under the hood, and we're going to show you how we achieve with our students, how we get where we get with our teachers, and how we make all that magic happen in the classroom so that our kids can be successful. So we're going to start with talking about being learner-centered. And really in our district is where our heart is. We have oftentimes thought about the idea that we bring kids in and we put them on this roller coaster of what is K-12. And in Liberty Public Schools, we work really hard to figure out how people learn differently, why they learn differently, and what we can do to make sure that they learn what they need to learn to be whatever they want to be. So we think about it in what we would call our PLC 4 questions, but really, it's really about being learner-centered. So we drive everything to this very simple thought. Really, what do we want students to learn? What do we want them to know and be able to do? And then, how do we know? How do we know if they know what we want them to know or they can do what we would like them to be able to do? So then, if they don't, what do we do? If they do, how do we go further? It really is that simple. So today we're going to take you under the hood with the what and the how, and then what we do with our teachers to make sure that they understand how important this is with our kids. So as Dallas shared, my job is curriculum and instruction and staff development, and so that's what you're going to get under the hood today. So let's start, and I wanted to tell you, I have a co-presenter with me today. One of our innovation and learning coaches, Dawn Shannon, is going to share with you some of the practices that we have on instruction. So she'll be up here for that second point. Okay, so the first one, today's a learning day, I promised you. We're going to talk about where can you find what it is we want our kids to be able to learn. So where is our LPS curriculum? And then, how do we come up with it? What makes this up, and what is it that we use in our classrooms every day? And then finally, how does a curriculum and assessment work together really help us reach that student achievement? So with that said, if you have your laptop or you're interested or you're watching on TV and you want to go back later, this is the site that we're going to access right now, and I'm going to leave the presentation and we're going to go live. So I promised you it's a learning event, and so here we are with our fabulous brand new website, which I love so much. And I'm just going to guide you in here. We're going to touch on academics. And under academics, you'll see curriculum and curriculum instruction. From there, you'll find the curriculum and instruction website, and the very first bullet is a lead to our curriculum. So when you click there, that will give you options for many different types of curriculum. What I would like you to jump to, if you're following with me today, is 4th grade. So this is what our 4th grade essential standards looks like. When you get to our 4th grade, you'll see many options. So let me just walk you through the options. The first thing is you'll see the Missouri Learning Standards. Those are the standards that the state of Missouri asks for Liberty Public Schools and all schools in the state of Missouri to consider. The beauty of the state of Missouri is that they do allow local control, which means that we use those expectations to guide what we teach, but it does not mandate what we teach. That is, we would never want to give that up, because that means that our parents, our community actually gets to determine what happens in the 4th grade classrooms in Liberty Public Schools. With that said, you'll see our 4 core content areas: English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. We also have on that first chart that I was on, PE, fine arts, and all the secondary courses that we offer. So to go back up here, we have our pacing guide, which is the rate at which we offer the learning to our students in our district, so that the students that are going to school in Alexander Donovan are reaching the same learning targets as the students that are going to school, for example, in Warren Hills. The other thing we have, the resources that we use, our parents ask us all the time, what are the items that we use to help supplement teaching? So you can find those items there. We also want to know what types of assessments our students are being checked on, because remember that second goal, how do we know if they're learning? We want to make sure that all of our students are learning on the same rigorous path. Then we have our proficiency guides. That's a new add this year, where we're starting to measure what our students do know and are able to do, so that we can report those very specific targets to our parents. And then last but not least, we get feedback constantly from our teachers, from our parents, from the students, to find out what can we do better in respect to our learning. And last but not least, the people who do this, it's just not one person, it's not one department. We use all of our teacher teams throughout the district. Every building, every school is every building, school is represented, every content area and department. So with that said, we're going to jump into the 4th grade. The first thing we're going to look at, I'll just take you to mathematics so that I can show you components of what is curriculum. So when you look at curriculum, we talk about a variety of things. The first thing we talk about are what are the items that they're supposed to know. This is 4th grade, and if you ever saw that game show, What is a 5th grade, Am I Smarter Than a 5th Grader? I'm just going to tell you, it's pretty tough. So this is, for example, developing phonics in a reading process. So I know you don't remember all the different phonics that you learned in your reading acquisition, but the fact of the matter is, in 4th grade, they know specifically what they are. These are the targets that we make for the students, and they are in student-friendly language, so that our students can say, I know how to do this. I can use the knowledge that I have of consonant blends. So if you just think about what that means, they have to know how to blend them, but they have to know what they are as well. And that is just one small bullet in a long list of many items. We are still looking at just English language arts. So the highest number of individual standards that we are expected to teach in one grade level would be 132. What we've done in Liberty Public Schools is we have identified things called essential targets. Those are the items that you see highlighted. Those highlighted standards are broken into targets that are measured by the students, and that is what we measure on our proficiency guide, aka the report card. So this is a K-5 only example. Our standards are the same 6-8 in respect to how they do it, but our grading is different. Okay? So with that said, I'm going to go back to, let me swipe. So when we talk about standards, one of the things we do is we talk about then how do we implement that in the classroom? How is it that we take those standards and change them into actual teaching activities where our students can understand and learn? So with that said, we're going to talk through how we make learning visible by really looking at individually attacking what a student knows, allowing them to figure out where they are in their own learning, and the strategies that we use with the teachers that helps make this practice happen. So I'd like to introduce Dawn Shannon. She's the Innovation and Learning Coach at Warren Hills and Alexander Donovan.
Hello. So those are still key to the project going on. So really, when you're hearing students talk about PBLs, the standards are still the heart of the learning, with some other elements a part of that work. So there's always a challenging problem. There's always sustained inquiry, authenticity, and some student voice and choice throughout. Time for the students to reflect on their learning, to critique their learning and revise, and then often some sort of showcase or public product at the end. So one example of this is taking some reading, some writing, some research standards and standards on the Civil War, and opening that up to how do we install empathy for those who have ensured our freedoms. So that's one example where veterans are sharing their experiences and the students are working through those standards, but connecting it to real life experiences. Another vehicle towards learning the standards that we were talking about is individualizing work for students. So that's where you're really taking what does one learner know and tailoring the instruction for them. This can be using some of the online things, or you'll see more and more where students have their own individualized plans and they're working through learning that is specific for what they need based on the set assessments. Another vehicle for learning the standards that we talked about is to differentiate the learning. So we spend a lot of time looking at what is the standard and where are our kids in groups where we can really take them from wherever they are towards that standard. So again, the teacher here is still really controlling the learning, but it's within groups towards the standards. And then a fourth vehicle towards learning those standards is to really personalize the learning. And this is where there's a big shift from the teacher really being the driver of the learning to the students being the driver of the learning. So when you're personalizing learning, you're really connecting with what is the student's passion, what are their interests, but also they get to really set the goals and decide how they're going to learn it. So I know in this group, the kids are thinking about what they know in the area of mathematics, what they need to know in the area of mathematics, but then they are making a plan for how are they going to learn that, how are they going to practice it, and how are they going to show their understanding. It's all back to you. Mm-hmm.
So then the last... So then the last area is, how do we make sure that our teachers are able to use those strategies in their classrooms? How do they know whether they should use differentiated instruction or personalized instruction? How do they know what those personalized instruction learning targets should be? So we ask these questions all the time, and we know that these are areas that we must focus on at LPS to constantly upgrade the type of instruction that's happening in our classroom, thinking forward about what is the next level of learning. We are not the classroom of the 1950s. We really strive to be different. So how do we help our teachers think differently about it, grow their mind, and really learn like we're asking our teachers or our students to learn? The other thing is, where and how do they receive that training in Liberty Public Schools? And then last but not least, what is the connection with all this and student achievement? So really, one of the things that we wanted to talk about are what are those areas of focus in our district. And we walked back through, this is the website that I showed you, and if you are interested in all the different types of things that we're learning, you would click right here on staff development. And really, it will take you to a big, long, sorry, that's not how that was supposed to work, but it looked way better when I clicked it over. It'll take you to this very long list of dates and times and places that our teachers use. Not every teacher goes to every single thing, but what we really try to do is individualize, differentiate, and personalize the learning that happens with our teachers. So, for example, we train our teachers, like Dawn shared with you, on project-based learning. So these are all the sessions that our teachers were able to attend to learn how to do that in their classrooms, and then how they were supported, times that they are supported in their classrooms with the practice, so that they can actually learn the process and then practice with a coach to make sure that the implementation of that learning is happening and that they can ask questions on the spot. They also attend something called visible learning, which I'll share with you again in a minute, but really it boils down to, in education, we like to have a lot of things that are really great for kids. So there's an educational researcher who we listen to pretty strongly. His name is John Hattie. And what we know from him is his research says there are some things in education that are better and more helpful for student achievement than others. So we talk about those things, and we really research in that area and try to figure out what those things are and how can we bring those to our classroom. And to go on, we also use the data to inform us on areas that our students aren't achieving where we want them to be. So for example, we used the achievement data that Christopher Hand gave at the board meeting to show that we really desire to improve our elementary mathematics scores. So with that information in hand, then we searched out some of the best consultants in the nation and brought them in to help us work with our elementary teachers on the standards, which we have new standards in the state of Missouri starting this year. So what those standards would look like and how we can best help our students understand mathematics. So there's a list. I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you. If anyone is ever interested, feel free, of course, to call us. We'd be happy to talk with you about what next year, because we start in the next month looking at what kinds of things we want our teachers to look at for next year. So let me go back here. Sorry, little switch. So where do they receive the professional learning? It just depends on the building. As I shared before, sometimes they come to the DAC to look at some consultant work, but as much as possible, what we recognize is to train teachers and to get a change of practice, it takes at least 30 hours of sustained support. So what we've done is we've taken the consultants and our own innovation and learning coaches, and we've embedded that practice in our buildings. And so oftentimes what you'll do is you'll find those teachers and coaches working together in the classrooms with the teachers side by side with the kids, so that we can figure out what is really working and how we can adjust that instruction. The other thing that I would be remiss in not mentioning is that we also offer a variety of professional learning opportunities for our teachers. The job embedded component, the innovation and learning coaches, we have coaches at every building. So they are assigned to work with teachers on a voluntary basis. We are student-centered coaching, which means we don't just specifically attend to what a teacher's practice would be, but we use student evidence to adjust instruction. So we make sure that we understand if this is not the learning that we want to see, how can we help a teacher achieve that outcome with their students? We also have a program called Leads In, which we're very proud of. It's 3 segments run by one of our coaches, Tracy Crott, and she works with teachers on 3 levels with an eye toward technology. So how do we bring technology in and help teachers that are on that foundational level? How do we combine technology and that use of project-based learning and make sure that we're combining the two and getting the best outcomes? And then the 3rd level is a group of teachers that we select by application that does research for our district and then pours back into our own professional learning. The last group that did that was the library media specialists at Liberty High School with LMS 360. And if you ever want to see something that's very impressive, they present very often on a national stage with the work and research that they did through our very own Leads. We also have a national board certification group, teachers that are seeking national board certification. It is one of the most rigorous and impressive professional learning opportunities a teacher can engage in. And then last but not least, as you can see, this is our class, our new teacher class for this year. And we had about, I think, almost 100 new teachers, mostly veterans, coming back to us. So we're very proud to bring in those teachers who come with a lot of great experience that we can offer to our students. So with that said, that final piece, let's just wrap it all up. What's that connection with professional learning? So I cited this educational researcher, John Hattie, and I did it for my good friend, Steve Anderson. And I just wanted to say that one of the things that we know is that we can achieve growth in our student outcomes if we focus on these top elements. So without going into the details of what causes those, you can really just see. If our teachers believe and are able to estimate what our students want to know and are able to do, and they know how and what they're doing, it's the highest effect on our achievement for our kids. If the teachers collectively believe in what they're supposed to learn, how they're supposed to learn it, and where they're supposed to do it, second highest effect. If we work on self-reported grades, so we showed you an example of students starting to rate and measure themselves. What do they know, how do they feel about it, and what can they do to get better? And then Piagetian programs are really that constructivist learning, so all that developmental reading, trying to get students to go from, it's scaffolding, going from level to level. Not every student learns at the same pace, at the same path, at the same time. So the better we get at this, the higher effect we have. And then last but not least, I'm going to talk about conceptual change programs and response to intervention, changing to adapt to the learner, and making sure that we meet the students' needs, that we respond to their needs where they are. So those are the top, I would just tell you, those top 6 or 7 things. In Liberty Public Schools, we attend to those every day. And with that said, this was the learning event for academic services on how student achievement, and I hope you learned something today. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Westfall and Academic Services. Appreciate Mrs. Shannon, and Mrs. Henley is here as well, as far as a couple of our coaches that work on behalf of Academic Services, but also in support of our teachers and students every single day. As I was hearing and listening to this, we could not do this work without the support of our community, the high expectations that they place upon us, but then certainly the support of parents and families. And so as I was sitting back there, I thought of my own kids in 7th grade and 4th grade, and how can I, as a dad, who, yes, was a teacher, but don't know as much about elementary school, how can I support my elementary school son? How can I support my middle school daughter as they matriculate through that K-12 experience? So whether it's a newborn at home or getting a little bit older and getting close to kindergarten and helping them get ready for kindergarten or equipping them with literacy skills, we all have a role in this. In addition to the role of the parent, I thought about the role of the community, whether it's a business partner, whether it's higher education, whether it's city government, whether it's the medical profession and others, is that there's opportunity to connect with our partners in our community to be able to provide relevant learning experiences that kids might be interested in the future. And that's a whole nother topic of conversation, that we have a lot of opportunities for kids to explore careers, to experience things that perhaps they're interested in that then can further their pursuits, or perhaps closes a door, which is always okay, in that they perhaps pursue something later on. And so we have a myriad of opportunities in our school system, and certainly could not do this work without our collective efforts. So again, thank you, Dr. Westfall and Academic Services, for the peek under the hood, as you said earlier. Wanted to give you a couple of quick updates as far as this semester. It's incredibly amazing that it's gone by so fast, but here we're nearing the end of this first semester and ready to turn the page into the spring semester. Coming up next Tuesday is our board meeting, which also is the opening of board candidate filing for individuals that are interested in running for board seats. We have 2 board seats, and that window will be open from the 16th of December through the 16th of January, actually, and you can take care of that here in the District Administration Center. A big area of focus for the district this year has also been in long-range planning. And so we have come to the conclusion of our long-range plan. We adopted an option moving forward. That's included a variety of community engagement meetings. It's also included building walkthrough assessments at each and every one of our campuses. And so as we look to the spring semester, the board's looking at the possibility of putting a bond issue, a no tax levy bond issue, on the ballot come April. So we're in the process of finalizing that. In the spring semester, we'll bring additional information to you and have opportunity for Q&A and presentations regarding the continuation of our long-range planning process. Last thing I wanted to share is that tomorrow we're going to be back in this room showcasing our holiday celebration with many of our schools and choirs as they come throughout the course of the day. It's one of our most exciting times of the year, but we look forward to you joining us for that event tomorrow here at the District Administration Center. As Dr. Westfall shared, there's a plethora of academic services information on our website. You can go back to the archived board meeting in November if you want to get into the numbers and the statistics around our performance. We continue to score very high, but we tell people all the time we are a work in progress. We want to remain relevant. We want to remain focused on individual students' needs by being learner-centered, and we want to prepare them for their futures. So thank you all for being here this morning. Hope you all have a great, happy holidays, and would certainly open it up to any of you for questions that you might have this morning. Any questions of me or Academic Services? Yes, ma'am.
My daughter was recently diagnosed with dyslexia.
Yeah.
How many teachers are training in multi-course restructuring?
So as we have followed that with the state of Missouri, that's an ongoing conversation with the state as well, from the legislature to DESE as well. We have provided some training. I'd have to go back to get those numbers for you specifically. We have a couple of folks here from Academic Services that could certainly connect with you and kind of walk you through those numbers. As we listen to the state, we know that's a growing need. We know that there are high quality trainings that are out there, and certainly want to lead in that area as well as we continue to dive in and hopefully get the support from the state as well, from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. But would love to connect with you on that. Okay? Other questions that you all have? So we will stick around. Appreciate you all being here. Look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow at our holiday showcase. And if we don't see you between now and then, have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. So thank you again.